Indiana has turned on the sparkle this weekend as the amateur basketball capital of the world. Steeped in tradition of mid-America, the past sometimes fades away to the future as Indiana youngsters continue what is known as Hoosier hysteria. Never forgetting their roots or responsibilities at home, kids continue to dream of big things to come. Like hitting the winning shot in the big game and the celebration that follows. Are taking charge inside to seal a victory. Today, the future stars of basketball, the College All-Stars, meet the Harlem Globetrotters in the NABC Round Ball Challenge. Ocean Spray proudly presents the 2000 National Association of Basketball Coaches Round Ball Challenge. We're at Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, where Jim Calhoun of the University of Connecticut brings his College All-Stars in against probably the most recognizable basketball team in the world, the Harlem Globetrotters. A little shtick, a lot of basketball. Hi, everybody. Sam Smith, along with the coach of Washington State, Southern Cal, and Iowa, George Raveling, joining us here on Fox Sports Net. We're delighted to be all part of a great weekend in Indianapolis, and if you like basketball, this was the place to be this weekend, George.
Well, Sam, all eyes are on Indianapolis for good reason. We have 4 teams competing for the coveted national championship. Here we have a large collection of college all-stars who are all trying to enhance their position in the NBA draft. And we also have the Hoop Summit, a collection of domestic and international high school stars who are competing for global supremacy. So it all makes for a wonderful weekend of basketball.
George, by the way, is not here recruiting. He's just going to enjoy the games with us. Let's take a look at a couple of the all-stars that's certainly going to have a shining moment as they try to improve their draft status. One of those is Richie Fromm, the young man from Gonzaga, and what a great last 2 years he's had.
Well, Richie is a huge reason why Gonzaga has had 2 consecutive trips to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. This 6'4" scoring guard has got a jump shot that is as deadly as a baby's bottom, Sam.
Well, that's the outside game for the All-Stars. Inside, it belongs to, I think, a very close-to-home favorite here from Purdue, Brian Cardinal. He may be the key inside for the All-Stars.
Well, Brian plays the game with an unusual passion. I would suspect if we looked in the dictionary under hustle, heart, and desire, we'd find this picture there. He thinks every loose ball, every rebound is his personal possession.
So the All-Stars against the world champion, world-famous Harlem Globetrotters, and one of the guys that makes them run is a very familiar face over at Maryland, the Washington, D.C. area in high school. It's Johnny Ace Rhodes, and if you follow ACC basketball, you remember this guy.
Well, this young man was a former All-ACC performer. He's the Globetrotters' go-to guy and their MVP. He's got a deadly jump shot, explosive first step to the basket, and he'll embarrass a defensive player.
Well, there's former All-Stars, former NBA players, and a great aggregation of players for the Trotters going up against the College All-Stars. They say, George and I got to work. We're going to go enjoy it with you. After this timeout, we have the lineups. Today's NABC Round Ball Challenge is brought to you by Ocean Spray, by GTE, and by MVP.com. Fieldhouse here in Indianapolis is welcoming a great crowd as they come into Conseco Fieldhouse, which is the home of the Indiana Pacers here in downtown Indianapolis, as we get ready for the NABC Round Ball Challenge. Sam Smith along with George Raveling. As the 2 starting lineups have been introduced, let's take a look at the starters now for the All-Stars. All the NABC All-Stars have been in working out for the last couple of days. They'll go with Thornton along with Sanchez, both knowing very well from the Northeast. Jones, a big fella from out in San Francisco. Richie Fromm, who you've already heard about shooting. And Kevin Freeman, who was on that 99 championship team for Connecticut, will round out their starting lineup. Speaking of that 99 championship team, Jim Calhoun is the head coach of the All-Stars. He said he's got a good group. He's anticipating a good game. He said he'll have to really muscle up inside if they hope to stay with the Trotters today. For the Trotters today, they'll be starting with a lineup that has a lot of new faces that you have not seen before. Sherrell Ford along with Rhodes will man the guards. Ford has never met a shot he didn't like. Also, Will Cunningham, big 6-man inside, 7-footer, 250 pounds. Shalise, the Division II Player of the Year. And Gerald Jordan adds a big front line to to the Harlem Globetrotters. Alvin Gentry, formerly the head basketball coach, once again at the Detroit Pistons, will be called in for this game and will be coaching on the sidelines for the Harlem Globetrotters. You know, somewhere along the way, George Raveling, that the great Tex Harrison will not be too far behind. 39 years of the Harlem Globetrotters coaching in the huddle. There he is.
And there's Tex there with the glasses on.
Tex Harrison, a player out of North Carolina Central, one of the first historically black college university gentlemen to make an All-American team. And the rest is history. Traveled around the world, visited 119 countries. He has seen it all, and he said he's just getting cooking. Speaking of getting cooking, let's get going now. Is John Hampton along with Mike Roberts and Fran McCall will be our three officials for today's game. And George, we asked you a little bit off the top of the show here as we get ready for this jump ball. Jones will jump inside with Cunningham. It's what the college all-stars try to get done here in this game in front of a lot of scouts and a lot of people.
Well, I think one thing that they want to do is they want to exhibit a balanced game. I think the pro scouts here are looking to see what can they do at the defensive end.
You got help right here. You got help.
Out inside, Freeman trying to work low. Jones a little show and go. Got Cunningham up. Rebound comes off the offside, and Solis will push it ahead, and out to Johnny Rhodes. Rhodes, by the way, was the MVP of the college series in 3 games last year by the Trotters, and out of the corner. First three is up and good, and there's Sherrell Ford knocking down a 3. We anticipated that, though, George.
Well, Sam, on the surface, you would say the Globetrotters have a decided edge in this game because they have played together, and this is a collection of all-stars who just came together about 3 days ago. And so they're still trying to find themselves, identify roles.
X-ray hip coming up with a first personal foul down inside, and make that Jordan, excuse me, getting his first personal foul inside. That'll be out of bounds to the All-Stars. And right off the bat, another quick foul. As that time they got the good ball release on that good setup, and that's one thing I was impressed with the coaches yesterday. They kept it simple, but they ran some very good patterns on the out of bounds and also how to get the ball in the hands of their shooters.
Well, when you coach an all-star team, you have to keep it simple. You just want to get them in an organized structure that would allow each player to reasonably exhibit his skills.
Bootsy Thornton at the line as Jim Calhoun's club gets their first point. Thornton out of St. John's. He, by the way, is the 15th man to make the coach's all-star team. And again, very happy to be one of the Red Storm players. Started 33 of St. John's teams. Of course, get 3 shots, and then the act of shooting a 3-pointer out of the corner. MVP of the Big East tournament as well.
Out of Baltimore, Maryland, a lot of very good basketball players develop on the playgrounds of Baltimore. Nice pass.
Thornton with the assist pass, and Jones, who you saw get that inside rebound, and if the All-Stars are going to stay close, they need that kind of inside game. And they do as they take their forced lead at 4-3. Right back with Will Cunningham jumping in with a deuce. And a 1-point lead for the Trotters.
Well, Will Cunningham certainly has an NBA body. He's huge.
Jones has got to test him pretty good today, though. And the rebound comes off, and ahead come the Trotters.
Early on, the All-Stars getting 1 shot attempt at the basket.
Solis missing batter out of the corner. Freeman the rebound, and the All-Stars run. Look at that pass by Sanchez. I tell you what, Pepe's a better shooter than a lot of people getting credit for, but he does that well as Thornton gets an easy basket.
There's no one in college basketball that's better at running a team than Pepe Sanchez.
Playing on kind of a bad wheel today, though, George.
Well, he's still suffering some of the ill effects of that early season ankle injury, but I talked to him doing the shoot-around. He said, Coach, I can go.
Jordan's going to get credit for the basket, and Jones trying to send a little message in there. Kenyon Jones from Savannah, Georgia, started at the University of California and finally ended up at San Francisco.
And Jones gets off in the help position. And as you said, trying to send a message that there'll be no easy shots in the paint today.
Trotters have got to come out, George, I think, and play that 3-point line, and that's why. Richie Fromm knocking it down from outside, and again, one of the truly great 3-point shooters in the game today.
And Richie Fromm has the ability to stretch a defense with that excellent 3-point shooting ability.
Rebound out inside to Jones. Jones is not in the greatest shape. It'll be interesting to see how long Coach Calhoun goes with him. Pepe Sanchez trying to create inside. Well, Jones is going to stay out there as long as he keeps hitting jump shots as he puts it down, and We are right now in an 11-7 game for the All-Stars.
9 out of 10 times, if you put the ball in the hands of Pepe Sanchez, something good's going to happen. He'll find the right person at the right time and get him the basketball.
Solis misses. Rebound comes off to Jones. He's already had himself an all-star performance in this first few minutes. Sanchez pushing it ahead. I guess the old adage of a guy that throws passes like Sanchez is don't turn your head on him, right, George?
And the thing about Sanchez that a coach loves, he rarely turns the ball over.
6-point lead now as Freeman gets his first field goal of the night. And it's a 6-point lead for the All-Stars early on the Trotters. Trotters relegating themselves to some outside shots as Freeman knocks it away. Pepe Sanchez says, ooh, I thought I had it on the end line there, Mr. Ref. I think a game of this particular complexion, though, George, I don't think you argue that too vociferously, do you? It's an all-star game, for God's sake. Ball knocked out of bounds by Sanchez. Belongs to the Trotters. Johnny Rhodes will inbound. We made mention Rhodes, the MVP of the '99 All-Star Series. 14 points and 10 assists against the All-Stars last year. All-Stars really put on quite a challenge. Matter of fact, they came from way down to within 1 point in a game at Detroit last year. Nice little inside move by Jordan.
And Jordan shot that one under duress as 2 defenders collapsed on him.
That stops a 7-point run here by the All-Stars with a 13-9 lead. Freeman working inside over Jordan. Tap up by Jones. Stave alive, and they put it up and good. And there's Thornton slipping in for a field goal. And that's a bonus when Bootsy gets inside for you.
And Kenyon Jones made that putback by keeping the ball alive. Coaches teach on the offensive boards, if you cannot gain control, keep the ball alive.
Well, the All-Stars have built up to a 15-9 lead here. The NAB 2000 Round Ball Challenge. We're back with more from Indianapolis after this timeout on Fox Sports Net. Saluted as well. Here we are with a beautiful day for basketball. Conseco Fieldhouse, the home of the Indiana Pacers, the site of the NABC Round Ball Classic. And the challenge going on with this youngster saying, you know, I think I can do that. May take a few years, but I think it might happen. Well, the All-Stars building their 15-9 lead. They work with a brand new fresh 5 in as Wynn tries to get inside. Tim Wynn out of St. Bonaventure. Rhodes with a rebound. Ashman along with Nate Johnson. Of course, Brian Cardinal in there for Purdue now has joined the lineup. Eric Coley in for the All-Stars, and Wynn forces a turnover, and that's where the All-Stars, George, may have a pretty good advantage because of their tenacity on defense. They really get all over you.
Well, what you do have with the college All-Stars is a large collection of players that were their team's primary defender. Wynn did an outstanding job of forcing Rhodes, number 1, to pick up the dribble, and number 2, to make him turn it over.
Well, what a big league play that was by Nate Johnson out of Louisville. He took it strong against Will Cunningham. After he threw the bump, he was able to get it right back up and good. Watch this one, George.
And the play was initiated by a beautiful backdoor play by Brian Cardinal. What a luxury to have a big man who can step out on the perimeter and make a play.
Johnson off the bench for his first 3 points of the night, and it's an 18-9 lead as now here comes Rhodes against Wins again. And guess what? Second consecutive turnover on Johnny Rhodes, a man that normally runs the attack for the Trotters almost flawlessly. Wynn with the defense. Johnson with a great save. Offside hook won't go. Wynn with a rebound. Inside to Cardinal. And the Purdue grad puts it in 22-12. As again, it's a lead by the All-Stars as they continue to put the pressure on. Solis can't get the roll. Ashman comes off for the rebound. Doug Bennett played his college ball again at Dayton and was actually a pretty fair three-point shooter as well, along with being the big guy inside. Tapped away from him. There's Cardinal on the floor after the ball. And a slip in your face by Johnson. All set up with a hustle of Brian Cardinal of Purdue.
And we talked about at the open of the show. Young man that has unusual passion for the game. Brian Cardinal dives for it. Has the presence of mind to know where the open player is. He takes it to the rack and throws it through.
And of course, Cardinal doing a job offensively along with setting some things. There'll be one that comes out as 5 new French bodies come in. One will not be able to come in on the near sideline right now is Ross Land out of Northern Arizona. As again, Cardinal gets a rest on the sideline. There's a good look at Ross. He, by the way, is the first Jackrabbit out of Northern Arizona to make the All-Star game. Missed by Johnson, gets his own missed shot. Tapped away, comes off to Jones, who's returned the lineup. Pepe Sanchez back out for the All-Stars. And the first time out for Alex Scales, number 40, works in the opposite corner here of Johnson. Freeman is back in, working inside on Jones. 18 on the shot clock, as now we have a whistle and a foul. That'll be over the back by Reggie Phillips, and a personal foul call on the Trotters. But we've got a timeout before play can continue. 11:10 left to go on Fox Sports Net. We've got the NAB Round Ball Challenge from Indianapolis continuing in a moment.
The GTE Junior College Coach.
Regulator, as he's called by his Trotter teammates, as the All-Stars again with the lead. And the French 35 on the shot clock. Get it into Scales. First shot tops out of there, and the Trotters have a couple of new bodies in there. This is Donnie Boyce. Boyce, one of their top shooters out of Colorado. Second-round pick, by the way, in '95 of Atlanta. Phillips for 3. Jones snatching some rebounds, and I tell you what, George, Jones is making an impact here on some people watching him today.
Absolutely. He's been a dominant force on the backboards, particularly at the defensive end of the floor.
Sanchez and Freeman playing some catch inside. Freeman trying to back down on Otis Key. Ball away skips out of there, and an easier rebound for the Trotters. They get it ahead to Phillips. Key in the open floor, pulls up for the jumper. And there's Jones with another rebound, but it's snatched away by Boyce. Trotters, of course, many of the players that you see here today will be joining one of 2 of their teams. They get the jumper up, and from outside they nail it, and that is Jamal Livingston. Puts it down to make it 24-17. They'll be joining the 2 teams that are touring the United States, and several of these will be heading to Europe as they open that tour next month.
Well, the Globetrotters are basketball's original ambassadors. They've been welcomed by popes, kings, queens, presidents. All have honored the Globetrotters over the years.
Since 1927, they've been entertaining fans. They started as the Savoy Big Five. And, of course, Abe Saperstein, whose daughter, by the way, is in attendance today, started the whole thing in Hinckley, Illinois, back in 1926. 27 was the official year that they were a team, as Jones trying to work inside, hooks inside of Freeman and draws the foul. And Freeman has hurt his arm, I think. And this, of course, Freeman from the University of Connecticut. Great concern by Jim Calhoun, his coach on the other side.
Freeman from Connecticut, first personal 13.
Okay, let's see if we can. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah. He got his arm locked under.
Substitution.
Jones that time trying to hook, and he tried to get his arm out of there, but hyperextended that elbow, I'm sure. And Cardinal's going to return and replace him. Numbers on him. You see the scoring and the rebounding. Actually, the better year for him was his junior year, George. He really was a sensational player. Not to say he didn't play hard this year, but last year was a banner year for him.
MVP in the Big East tournament, MVP in the NCAA regionals.
One of the real leaders on the floor, one of the co-captains of his club. Played in 131 games at University of Connecticut. Due to time restraints, we move to further action. Well, Brian looked at that three-pointer, didn't he?
It was tempting.
7:46 to go in the first half. Thornton with a drive, little left-handed jumper's no good. Shepard with a rebound. Rhodes and Phillips are both in together now. Phillips the point and Rhodes the 2 out of the corner against Thornton. In a crowd, and there again is Cardinal taking the charge. Rebound put up and in, and Johnny Rhodes shows his perseverance as he scores for the Trotters. 6-point lead by the All-Stars. 7:15 left to go in the opening half. Round ball challenge from Indianapolis. There's Wynn with a running one-hander. Shepard rebounds, and the Trotters look to run. Missing the shot, boys. Rebound to the outside. The Trotters get another second try. Shepard had it knocked away, but last touch by Jones, and it's going to go out of bounds. But before play can resume, we've got a timeout. The NAB Round Ball Challenge from Indianapolis continues as the All-Stars take it to the Trotters.
GTE NCAA.
Stars of the NABC Round Ball Challenge are on the floor here at Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sam Smith along with George Raveling as the All-Stars have had a pretty good run on the Trotters, but the Trotters have come back now with a 7-point lead, 36-29 here in the first half. Good penetration by Scales, and I guess that would be called a punctuation mark.
What he did is he lifted the defender toward him with the shot fake, and he immediately took advantage of the imbalance of his defender, took it to the hole, and took it to the hole strong.
Hip trying to turn around jumper and gets it as X3 Hip comes up with a field goal, a 96 grad out of Maryland. By the way, Scales has scored the last for the All-Stars, the first all Pac-10 player, first team player in the last 3 years, so getting quite a nice honor there for the Ducks. Sanchez missing, steal by Scales. Pepe Sanchez with just a little friendly touch in the back and draws a personal foul on the rebound that time by Livingston. That'll be foul shooting on the other end by the Harlem Globetrotters. George, so far through the first half, we made mention at the start of the show that the All-Stars might try to do something a little out of character to impress. Most of them, I think, have stayed pretty much in the role so far in the first half.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. In fact, if I were an NBA scout, the one thing that would impress me is their willingness to share the ball, to accept roles, not to make ill-advised passes or take ill-advised shots.
Well, ill-advised, that one's not, as Scales takes it on a nice run. Boy, you liked him before this game started. You say, watch this kid play.
Well, in a 94-foot game, he's an explosive player. I still don't think that we've seen the offensive productivity that he's capable of producing.
There's that double team as Sanchez along with Land almost came up with a steal. And a push in the back will send the ball to the Trotter foul line, and it'll be a one and the penalty once again here in the first half. 1:26 left to go before halftime. Don't forget, at halftime we've got some slam dunk action for you. Also, there'll be a gentleman by the name of Michael Wild Thing Wilson will be trying to slam dunk a basketball on a goal at 12 feet in the air. We'll do all of that. We'll have the slam dunk challenge, also the hot shot shootout, all of that coming at halftime of the NABC Round Ball Challenge today from Indianapolis. Jordan checks back in, and Shepard checks out for the Trotters. And at the line trying to make another free throw here is Livingston out of Cal State Bakersfield.
And during that foul shot attempt, make no mistake that Jim Calhoun wants to win this game, as he was over chirping in the official's ear.
And he likes what he sees from Scales. He's keeping them close. Trotters have the lead, 40-33, back in a minute.
The recipient of the first all-coach
excitement this summer at the Denny's Harlem Globetrotters Youth Summer Camps. Boys and girls ages 6 to 16 learn basketball skills and valuable life skills too. Simply log on to the Harlem Globetrotters website at www.harlemglobetrotters.com or call 800-641-HOOP. Don't miss your chance for an entire week with the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters, a one-of-a-kind basketball experience.
In the NBA, a chance to shine today. Right now they trail the Harlem Globetrotters 40-33. Sam Smith along with George Raveling back here in Indianapolis as inside Jones. This big guy out of San Francisco has worked very hard and continues to work hard as Jordan gets all over him. This was a kid that made the Street and Smith All-American team out of Savannah, Georgia. Went out to Cal Berkeley, played 3 years there. Decided he wanted to kind of change his game, went over to San Francisco, and a great last year for him at San Francisco.
Now, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Sam, I tried to recruit him
out of Savannah.
Yeah. And when I had the car accident, which ultimately caused me to retire from college basketball, I was on my way downtown Los Angeles to take him to breakfast. He's visiting USC campus.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm very familiar with this young man.
And as they say, the rest is history, right, George? Jones, by the way, has just knocked in his 9th point, go along with 6 rebounds, 3 on each end. So he is putting some very nice numbers together for the All-Stars as they trail by 5. Alley-oop inside to X-Ray Hip. Rebound comes off to Eric Coley. Coley, a very soft-spoken young man out of Tulsa. Asked him what he was going to do in the All-Star game, and he just looked at me and he said, well, I just hope to bring my A game and do whatever I can to help us win. You got to love that attitude. Didn't say I got to do this, I got to do that. Land almost gets the three. Fumbled out of bounds that time by Gerald Jordan out of Pittsburgh. Started his career at Morgan State in the MEAC conference before going into Pittsburgh. 2 years there for Pittsburgh. Started West Philadelphia High School. A few folks have come through that high school. Jones missing. Look at the big fellow work, though. And finally, they strip it clean from him.
What Jones has got to do, he's got to catch and pitch back out a couple of times to soften the defense.
Coley tipping it out to Scales. It's a 3-on-2 break here for the All-Stars. And it'll be a goal-10 as that time Boyce went up and Land lays it off the glass and scores.
Alex Scales did a nice job of aggressively pushing the ball up the floor, making the good decision, putting the ball in the hands of Ross Land for the layup.
Replacing Pepe Sanchez of Temple.
Pepe Sanchez will go out and Tim Wynn back in for the All-Stars as the Trotters will bring it ahead and bring the ball up. Livingstone and X-Ray Hip will wait for the ball. Rhodes along with Phillips and Boyce in there right now for the Trotters as a errant pass by Phillips gets in between Boyce and Livingstone on here on the sideline. Livingston loses the ball out of bounds. 7 seconds left to go.
Jim Calhoun wants to get at least a two-pointer out of this one.
Scales going to get a three. At least he had a look at it, and Jones rebounds it back up with the horn and gone on. George Raveling, what do you think of the first half? All-Stars doing well early on. The Trotters coming back and showing their game.
Well played first half, particularly for an All-Star game setting. I was very impressed with the team play, the defense of the college All-Stars. You wrote it a little bit late in the first half. Initially, they were out there playing very aggressive defense that was producing turnovers.
Well, it's been the Trotters coming from 11 points down. They'll head to the locker room with a 3-point lead as Jim Calhoun and his staff will put something together for the All-Stars. We'll put together a halftime after this timeout. Ball Challenge is brought to you by Ocean Spray, by GTE, and by MVP.com. One of the vital parts of any Final Four is the convention going on with the National Association of Basketball Coaches, the NABC, and of course their Round Ball Challenge with the Harlem Globetrotters now signing a contract for the last 3 years. Gets us here to Indianapolis. Sam Smith along with George Raveling, and we watched the All-Stars jump to an 11-point lead early on. Trotters coming back to take the halftime lead 40-37. George, one of the things we made mention that a player can always rise to the top, and I think Kenyon Jones certainly has improved his stock greatly today in this game.
And you know, I think as the weeks go on, he can even enhance his stock more if he'll get himself in good physical shape. I just think looking at him, it's obvious that he's not in the best of physical shape. But if he makes a solid commitment, I think he can find a spot for himself in the NBA.
Got 9 points, 7 rebounds to lead the All-Stars. Johnny Rhodes with 10 on the other side leads the Trotters. But the Trotters again with a 10-0 run got themselves back in the game and the halftime lead. We're back with the Hunts Manwich Slam Dunk Challenge in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the championship.
It's time now for the Hunts Manwich Slam Dunk Challenge as we get ready to find out who the high walker here in this NABC All-Star game happens to be, and the opponents happen to be the guys that have come full circle here, George. Right now, let's take a look at Reggie, the regulator Phillips. This is the guy who comes in and had a couple of pretty good dunks early on.
Oh, right away. Working on style and creativity.
5'11", 180 out of Cal State Bakersfield. Let's take another look, and the judges liked it.
Now, this young man has a supposed 42-inch vertical.
Showed off all of that. 39, I believe, is a score given to Reggie. 39 on the first one. There will be 2 rounds. He, along with Michael the Wild Thing Wilson. Got to love the nickname, if nothing else.
Well, and we saw Michael in the preliminary, and he really had the fans on the edge of their seats.
Now Reggie Phillips is going to, I guess, be a spotter here, at least setting something up for the Wild Thing. And And they're testing those breakaway rims very early here.
And a little creative footwork.
My, oh my.
Let's watch the creative finish. Now the feet come up onto the backboard. They're planted in there, and he gets a little aerobic exercise.
Yeah, that's the way they did it at Washington State, Southern Cal, and Iowa, right? You taught them to do that?
When I was at Washington State, we didn't have breakaway baskets. We'd have had to hold the game up for 2 days.
So again, Michael Wilson coming up with a perfect 40, and how about that for teamwork? Phillips sets him up with a bounce off the backboard.
And that's the key.
Phillips gets another dunk at it. Again, had 39 in his first one. Judges today, by the way, the illustrious David Thompson, formerly of North Carolina State, Junior Bridgman of Louisville, also Steve Green of Indiana, and the owner and chairman of the Harlem Globetrotters, Manny Jackson, the honorary judge, as they look on at courtside. Just missed. My, oh my, 5'11", a high wire act there for Reggie Phillips. No points there, and now it's up to Michael Wilson to finish this thing off. Let's see if Reggie's going to set him up this time, George. He had his opponent set up pretty well in the last one. Kind of like on his own.
I think he's going to go solo this time. He's smiling. He's confident.
And all he has to do is be a little creative. Nothing real spectacular, and he knew it. By the way, Michael will be trying, if you're ready for this, coming up, to dunk a basketball 12 feet in the air.
Well, and you know, there's a little strategy in this. He's trying to conserve a little energy as he goes for the real deal now.
Well, he said that was just for practice. But again, he already holds the record, 11 feet 11 inches. George, have you seen that basket? 11 feet 11 inches in the air. It's unbelievable, and they're going to move it to 12 feet. He'll try to dunk that for a world's record later today.
Put a quarter up there on the top of the backboard. If he can go up and get that.
Hans Mandwich slam dunk challenge, and it comes down to Michael Wilson, who virtually has wrapped it up. Reggie Phillips of the Trotters, Alex Scales of Oregon, X-Ray Hip of the Trotters, and Eric Coley of Tulsa were all part of the slam dunk. Comes down to these final two. Michael's got that little Trotter shtick going here before he does this.
MJ, MJ.
Little Michael Jordan-esque there as Wilson puts it down, and what else are the judges going to score but perfect 10s? He gets perfect score on both the dunks, and Michael, the wild thing, Wilson is indeed the Hunts Mandwich Slam Dunk Challenge champion of the day. And quite a big dunk by Wilson, but again, I think, George, you're exactly right. He's saving something for that big World Championship dunk coming up a little later.
And you can see why they call him the Wild Thing.
Wild Thing doing his thing again. The slam dunk champion has come full circle. It's Michael Wilson of the Harlem Globetrotters as he wins today in Indianapolis, but more from Wilson to come. Out here at Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, our Hot Shot Shootout brought to you by Hunt's Spaghetti Sauce, and we're going to find out now, George Raveling, who has the best shot outside. Interesting format now with the Trotter along with one of the All-Stars kind of teaming up to make things happen here around the circle, and we've got the numbers there. 3 in each of the corners, 5 above the three-point line, 2 at the free throw lane, and a layup is worth 1, but you can't shoot consecutively from the same spot, so it'll instinct a strategy going on by these clubs.
And you have to start off making a layup first. There's Bootsy Thornton out of St. John's. He's been shooting the ball very well in practice this week, and I think this group here is my favorite.
Well, Ron Solis, who is the Player of the Year in Division II out of Cal State Bakersfield, and they are ready to go. And it'll be interesting as the Trotter underneath the course, as Ron Solis will get this thing all started out, and we'll find out how their strategy goes. Again, in their first round, they scored 47. George, a very good round. Keep in mind for the layup, 5 out there, so they mount their scheduled 60 seconds total time, 3 for 3 for this team.
Well, you look at them, they shoot the ball with confidence. They have good range. They get their legs into the shot.
That'll bite.
That's going to take off some very valuable time. Bootsy's got to hit this one.
After going 3 for 3, now they've missed their last 4 shots.
And see, when the rebound goes astray like that, it has the temporary effect of taking some of their shooting rhythm away.
George, you've had some great shooters, and of course, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And these guys certainly, stroke after stroke, you can see that once they start to get in a roll, they'll really be there.
They're back in their rhythm right now.
2-pointer to foul line. Thornton again throwing the 5-pointer. They've got a chance for one more shot. It'll be a 5, and they got it. So a good effort there by the favored team of George Rambling, by the way. Salih's going up along with Thornton, the college all-star. There's a good look at Thornton. And Ron Salih's collaborating on their first opportunity, and they get a 36 as their score. A little lower, certainly quite obviously, than 47 as we get ready for our next pair. This will be Johnny Rhodes, Johnny Ace Rhodes of the Harlem Globetrotters, under the basket, and out front is a man that led the nation, George, in three-point shooting outside. Ross Land out of Northern Arizona shot over 46% from that stripe right there.
And he's the all-time greatest three-point shooter at the collegiate level for a career, 46%. As a junior, he shot 50% behind the three-point arc.
Trying to find their range. Again, looking at the 5-point ball to be the real backbreaker here. Again, 36 is the number for them to shoot for. Have to rebound, get it back to your partner as quickly as you can. Land gets those feet under him nicely for that one and gets a nice arc on it. You see the time winding on the 60 seconds.
They've got a chance for 2 more shots in there, maybe 3, depending on how quickly you get the ball out.
And they're going to go to the higher numbers, 3 out of the corner, 5. They'll have shots probably for
this is a big
maybe
one
2 more. If they can get this rebound in a hurry, they'll get one more shot.
5 here.
Here it is. This could be for the win.
Yes, it is.
And he won't get that one off. Oh, that may have been the biggest shot of the night there by Ross Land, the young man of the Jackrabbits of Northern Arizona. And, of course, that team being congratulated by several of the Trotters. And, again, quite an effort put on by Ron Salih along with Bootsy Thornton. So there you have our winners. Once again, it is Rhodes and Land as they come up with a hot shot shootout, all brought to you by Hunt's Spaghetti Sauce, here again at the NAB All-Star Round Ball Challenge. We're back after this timeout.
This is an Ocean Spray Cranberry.
Halftime, and it has all been capped off as once again it was the wild thing. Michael Wilson going for a dunk of 12 feet. Missed one, and he said, you know, I need to go one more time. Just one more. X-ray hip was going to toss the ball up, and Michael is being persuaded by his teammates to go one more time. And George, when you take a look at that goal out there 12 feet high, it's almost amazing anybody even gets close.
If he does this in my lifetime, it would have to be one of the more amazing feats that I've seen accomplished on a basketball court.
Let's see if he does it here. He did it! Oh my God, 12 feet, a new world record. And the crowd was all part of it here at the NABC Round Ball Challenge. 12 feet. He held the old record of 11 feet 11 inches. He did that in Birmingham, England. And now he has set the new world's record at 12 feet on a dunk. And he does it here in Indianapolis. Look at this again.
Now watch his hand, how far above the rim he is. We'll get a front shot of that, and you're going to see his wrist is well above the rim. Watch this. See?
Oh, my goodness. And he had probably another, as you said, about 6 more inches to dunk, so the world's record is not safe. But it has been set today, 12 feet, an X-ray hip, who put the ball up around the rim, also gets to celebrate, and there's a good look at the wild thing. Michael Wilson again, the new slam dunk champion, 12 feet as he dunks it here. George, I'm kind of winded there without seeing all of that. But we got to get back to work here.
Now, I believe when they say he has a 45-inch vertical, I believe that one.
A 40-36 lead by the Trotters as the All-Stars come back to work here, but a quick turnover gives it back to the Trotters.
Oh, that's up.
And it's tossed out of bounds, so they equal turnovers, and back it'll come the other way. By the way, the All-Stars have come back. What looks like to be their starting lineup, or no, they changed it a bit. Pepe Sanchez will be out front along with Richie Fromm. They'll play the guards. Thornton also goes in there as a kind of a 2-3 player. Inside are Jones and also Johnson. Nice play by, once again, Sanchez. He takes it up on the opposite side and scores.
And this well might be the All-Stars' best overall offensive lineup.
Trotters coming back with Will Cunningham, the big guy inside, and Rhodes for 3. Skips out to Jarrell Ford. Ford will miss, gets his own rebound. Third try, finally knocked out of bounds. Out it goes off of Jordan's hand of the Trotters. It'll belong to the All-Stars.
Kenyon Jones making them change up their shots inside.
Nate Johnson, one of the great players out of Louisville, gives it off to Sanchez. Johnson trying to post up along with Jones inside, but Sanchez, who, if you just take away Sanchez as far as his looks from the head and put that little flat top on him, that's a Chris Mullen jump shot if I ever saw one again.
That's what I call a respect jump shot. Okay, you want to play 4 feet off me? I'll show you that I can shoot.
Back come the other way. Solis scoring for the Trotters as they come back to tie the game at 42. After again, Pepe Sanchez had given the Trotters a brief lead. Trotters led early on by 11 points. The Trotters' biggest lead was 7. And the All-Stars with Nate Johnson for another take to the basket, and he's fouled. It'll go for 3. Well, George, when you take a look at what the All-Stars are able to do with backdoor cuts and picks and screens, and they've done this for 3 days under Coach Jim Calhoun, it's very, very impressive to see the knowledge of these players.
Well, first of all, it shows that the players have an immense amount of confidence in Coach Calhoun and how he believes the game can be won. And second of all, it's a tribute to the players that they have not bowed to the temptation to try to go out and do one-on-one basketball in an effort to impress the NBA scouts.
Pepe Sanchez with that steal in the outlet, but Johnson couldn't finish. Rhodes back in the court here as Solis missing out of the corner. Johnny Rhodes, MVP of last year's series against the All-Stars, battling tough, and Jones comes off with a rebound, but he's fouled.
And Jones continues to be a dominant force at the defensive end, rebounding-wise.
George, that's his 9th rebound of the game, so he has done a nice job. 5 of those have been offense and 4 on the defensive end.
Well, he does a nice job of securing a rebounding position. He's tough to move. He's got a nice low base. Keeps the ball up high when he rebounds it.
So the number 1 player that has improved his stock certainly has to be Kenyon Jones out of San Francisco. Richie Fromm trying to improve with that jumper. Rebound comes off, and out they push it from Solis ahead to Jordan. And a nice little take for the man to the basket. 6'11", 245 out of Pittsburgh. And that's what big guys are doing now, George.
Well, Ron Solis, he did a nice job of being able to maneuver through traffic and find himself an easy layup.
What's up?
All-Stars again with a 1-point lead. Nice little catch and trying to score. Solis knocked out of bounds. Belongs to the All-Stars. All-Stars now starting to get as creative as they can off of the backdoor cuts and screens, trying to see what Jim Calhoun is calling.
The All-Stars are going to win this game. It's an absolute must that they shut down the Globetrotters transition game.
19 on the shot clock, 35 here in the game on the shot clock. Johnson with a take to the basket on Jordan, can't get all the way in. Bootsy missing and knocked out of bounds. It'll belong to the All-Stars. Sam Smith along with George Raveling, glad you could join us at the NABC Round Ball Challenge here in Indianapolis, all part of a most festive Final Four weekend in Indianapolis, Indiana, as Richie Fromm hits it out of the corner, and the man that is one of the all-time great three-point shooters in the history of his university, Gonzaga, knocks down a big one for a 4-point lead.
Young man out of Battleground, Washington.
And I'm sure he threw a few battle lines along the way.
Saying that was an ugly-looking jump shot.
I was going to call that a brick, but it didn't qualify. Fromm has it blocked from behind. Rebound down inside Jones, but had it knocked away from him. Jordan gives it off to Rhodes. Knocked away, comes off to Will Cunningham. Cunningham has it stripped clean by Johnson. They've got people in the open floor. Bootsy Thornton, he puts down a dunk. May not have raveled out of the wild thing, but it counts 2 nonetheless.
Sam, they better get a little oxygen out there for Kenyon Jones, boy. He's hurting. The big fella is tired.
I thought the air conditioning had been turned up, George. Shot out of the wing and rebounded off on the foul called inside.
I think Jim Calhoun spotted what we did as he does a massive substitution.
Well, both teams will make some substitutions. Jim Calhoun will meet the All-Stars. On the other end, Alvin Gentry will do the same as Bootsy Thornton gives the All-Stars a 50-48 lead in the second half. Enjoyed a marvelous run at Connecticut, of course, the title last year, and one of the reasons he got to that title game and won it was a guy by the name of Kevin Freeman. Young man, a co-captain this year, but a guy that does what he needs to do, George, to finish and really take his club to the limit.
Well, if in fact this injury is very serious, what it's going to do is bring to a halt his ability to showcase his skills.
Indianapolis.
And you know, you talk about the stars this game's produced. It's also produced a lot of NBA coaches that participated in this game. Pat Riley played in the game. Dan Issel, Billy Cunningham, Jerry Sloan, Rudy Tomjanovich, Darrell Walker, Doug Collins, Lionel Hollins. All of those guys were participants in this game and have now gone on to coach at the NBA level.
As a matter of fact, there's still 80 players and coaches in the NBA that once played in this All-Star game. Ashman hammered from behind by Shepard. Well, I tell you what, George Raveling, you take a look at this and if you draw it up on a diagram, I mean the passing of the All-Star team, crisp cuts, good passes, and the Trotters are really getting hurt and stung inside.
Well, the NBA scouts have to be very impressed with the passing ability of Brian Cardinal. 3 or 4 times we've clearly been able to understand that this young man has a special ability to distribute the basketball facing the basket.
Ashman at the line will have one more, a co-MVP of his Dayton club, along with Tony Stanley this past year. Donnie Boyce rebounding it off for the Trotters. The score stays at 53-46, and Cardinal diving for what he hoped to be another steal, but missed. Livingston on the miss. Shepard with a rebound. He'll be fouled, and Ashman will draw the personal foul. Back to Ashman, the first-team All-Atlantic 10 player, averaged 13 points and 6 rebounds. Started 119 games, which established a new record for the Flyers, one set by Jim Paxton, who played in the NBA. 119 starts by Ashman at Dayton for an all-time record there. Highest scoring center in quite a while, too. They haven't had a center that has scored as many as Ashman since 1966. Henry Finkel was a leading scorer for Dayton at that time, but this kid has put on the numbers for the Flyers. Shepard with 1 of 2 free throws. Got them both.
Many people consider Ashman to be the best center in the Atlantic 10. Actually, we have 3 All-Atlantic 10 performers here. Ashman, the young man with the ball, Tim Wynn, and of course the legendary Pepe Sanchez.
There's where Ashman may pay some dividends as well, George, and the fact that this is a kid that's 6'11", runs the floor reasonably well, and has got a nice touch outside. 55-48, 7-point lead by the All-Stars. The Trotters have led by 7. The All-Stars led early in the game by 11. Boyce misses. Rebound comes off to Ford. Reggie Phillips will be fouled by Tim Wynn. Tim, by the way, did not practice at the session I saw yesterday. One of the candidates for the Naismith Award, which is for players 6 feet and under. But he's one of the first of the Bonnies to be making into this All-Star game, and they were really happy, particularly Jim Calhoun, to get the ball handling skills and the tenacity of this kid on this lineup.
Well, and his basketball mentor is Avery Johnson. He goes to Avery Johnson's camp in the summer, works with him, and you can see a lot of Avery Johnson in this young man's game.
Phillips hit the 3 for the Trotters to whittle the lead to 4 after the miss by Wynn. They're back in the attack zone. Boyce trying to take it in. Both Cardinal and Ashman attacking with vengeance. And they're going to call that personal foul. It'll be on Brian Cardinal.
Third personal, third team foul. the All-Stars.
Donnie Boyce taking it to the basket on the big men and paying the price.
Personal foul number 3 on Cardinal now. He'll come out, and Kenyon Jones will come in for the All-Stars. As Boyce gets a free throw. Actually, Ashman is coming out, so Cardinal with the 6-foul rule is going to stay in, and Jones comes in for Ashman. Donnie Boyce, couple of free throws, played at Colorado, graduated in '95, actually broke a leg in the Big 8 tournament at that time, and in his senior year, still drafted in the second round by Atlanta. Two-time All Big 8, played several years for Atlanta and around the league, went to Proviso East up in the Chicago area, and you know what they produce, George. Great basketball players.
And he's still the career scoring leader at Colorado.
Good block inside as the Trotters put on the defense and try to come back. They're down by 2. Ford with a three-pointer, and the Trotters have come back to take the lead. 56-55, the Harlem Globetrotters. Down by 7, have come storming back with 12 minutes left to go in the half. Eric Coley deals it off to Wynn. Phillips with those quick hands out of Cal State Bakersfield. Nice entry pass. Jones collects himself and puts it in. Boy, did you see how well he used his body to screen the defender away?
Well, I think he's certainly making an impression on NBA scouts. As I look through the stands, I see the Chicago Bulls, the Pacers, Golden State's here, the Lakers are here. They're all here.
Cardinal trying to stop that drive on the baseline now will draw his 4th personal foul. As they get a timeout is called. Kenyon Jones out of San Francisco, 6'10", 270. Gathers himself, got one man flying by, puts it in. We've got a game again. It's signing a 3-year deal here with the National Association of Basketball Coaches to play their All-Stars. And the Trotters will become the only team in the history of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame to be awarded the John W. Bunn Award. They are awarded that for their contribution to the game of basketball, not only in the States, but around the world. Again, the first team ever to be honored for that award in the Hall of Fame, and justly deserved by not only the current Trotters, but their great group of alumni. Look for the inbound. They are looking to try to get a lead again, are the Trotters. They're down to the All-Stars, 57-56. And, George, you got to be impressed with the All-Stars coming out of the locker room and playing so well.
And particularly at the defensive end of the floor.
Phillips had it partially blocked by Sanchez. Shepard, however, will follow it up for the Trotters. And they've got the lead back by a point now. Bootsy Thornton handling it outside from St. John's. Gives it off to Scales from Oregon. Johnson way away is now going to be forced to travel with the basketball. Pressure on the outside by Jamal Livingston out of Cal State Bakersfield, and a turnover on the All-Stars. Just under 11 minutes to go here in the second half. Phillips for 3. Jones with another rebound. What a game he is having. This All-Star continues to play well. He's got now 10. Thornton to the hoop. Blocked from behind that time.
You could hear the foul all the way over here at the announcer's table.
Steal by Sanchez. Scales will take it in, and this time he does draw the foul on Rhodes. Well, that was a defensive player saying he slapped himself on the leg there, George.
All-Stars attacking the basket with a very aggressive approach.
Pepe Sanchez dealing it off there. Number 1 in steals, by the way, with 365 in the Atlantic 10. That was 11 short, by the way, of the all-time NCAA record. No, he would love to have had that, did Pepe Sanchez, but he came up 11 short, but still we'll put that on the books as one of the all-time great performances. And Scales putting down a couple.
And not only is Pepe an outstanding basketball player, but he's also an outstanding student, making academic All-American.
Student athletes is what we all talk about, and he kind of epitomizes what you'd like to try to draw. Shepard cleaning up the garbage inside. They've got 14 to shoot. Pepe Sanchez almost made a steal off the help by Scales. Rhodes inside, coming over as Johnson to knock it away. 5 to shoot. Boyce will. For a shot clock as Shepard chases it down. So a new 35 on the shot clock for the Trotters. They won't use much of it, though. Phillips took it in hard. He got pretty well whacked, and here comes Sanchez ahead. deals it off to Scales, takes it to the hoop, and he's fouled. And we've got Phillips down on the other end, kind of rubbing his eyes as he got smacked in the face as well.
And he's staggering. Looks like he took a blow from Mike Tyson.
Pepe Sanchez comes over to slap some 5 as Alex Scales gets ready for the free throw. First team all Pac-10 player, first in 3 years at Oregon, averaged 18 plus in the conference.
73% foul shooter.
Nice to have those kind of guys at the line when it counts. And the Ducks used him down the stretch. 61-58, All-Stars by 3, 9:35 to go in the second. All-Stars again up by 11 at one point in the second half. Johnny Rhodes inside. Officiating core, John Hampton, Mike Roberts, and Frank McHale are starting to get some contact to just lay off them inside. Let them play here. Reach for a personal foul now, and it'll be
Third personal,
18 foul here, so it's at the line. Pepe Sanchez will shoot free throws. Trotters make a change. Boyce out. Jarrell Ford will check back into the lineup.
You know, you talked about the contribution of Kenyon Jones. First half, he had 6 rebounds, 9 points.
He's really had himself quite a outing already, and again 11 and 10, so he's got the double-double here. 11 points and 10 rebounds by Kenyon Jones. And Scales showing off that free throw shooting ability again.
Pepe Sanchez 5 assists in the first half.
9:16 left to go as the Trotters bring it ahead. Trailing by 3 to the All-Stars, turning up a notch on their defense. Rhodes trying to post up inside on Scales, and it's a pretty good battle in there, George. You see Jones fending away Shepard from the hoop, giving Thornton a chance to get the rebound. Scales out to Pepe Sanchez. He deals it inside. A driving layup comes off, and Johnson ties up Livingston, but a foul is called as Thornton couldn't get the layup to go. Johnson draws the foul.
Number 42, Nate Johnson of Louisville. First personal, 15 foul.
15 foul now whistled on the Trotters, or on the All-Stars, excuse me. Phillips to Ford in the corner. Strip clean, and here comes Alex Scales weaving his way ahead of Phillips. Phillips wraps him up to make sure he doesn't get 2, and he'll go to the line. And anytime you get that good a foul shooter, you got to take your best shot at it here.
As they tell you on the playgrounds, make him earn the basket. Nobody goes to the hole unmolested.
Phillips, by the way, was the lone Trotter back on what looked like to be a 3-on-1. Scales thought he had a step on him, and Phillips, of course, wraps him up with 2 shots here by Alex Scales. By the way, Scales put together back-to-back 30-point games against Southern Cal and Arizona State, 30 and 31 respectively. First time that an Oregon Duck had done that since 1992.
And his coach, Ernie Kent, who did a wonderful job at Oregon this year, compares him with Littell Sprewell. Says that same type of game.
Trotters down by 4. They try to get 3 of it back in a hurry. Sanchez with the rebound. Ahead they come to Johnson. Johnson was looking to deal it. Comes off the Scales, and Scales is going to be fouled. And Johnson also, I think, got hit in the mouth as well as he's down. And Johnny Rhodes wants to make sure he's all right before he gets up.
We haven't talked a lot about this, Sam, but this has really been a very physical basketball game. Both teams playing very hard, very physical.
Johnson losing control of the ball and got hit in the mouth there. By the way, have we called a 1st and 10 yet? We haven't had one of those today yet. We've had enough bodies down with 8:07 left to go in the game. Scales again, another foul shot. He's hit his last 5 in a row. All-Stars will flood the floor now as Land, along with Wynn, Cardinal, and Ashman will check back into the game. And, of course, it means that Scales stays in for the moment. And Richie Fromm will check in for him on the next dead ball.
And this game is living testimony to the fact that basketball is not a non-contact sport.
That Scales, who had hit his last 5 in a row, realized he was coming out, so he missed to stay in the game. No, I'm just kidding. Ford with a rebound, and the Trotters down by 5 to the All-Stars. Under 8 minutes to go, have the ball. They've got Chuck Jones, number 0, back in. Ian Ford playing catch. Down inside, they try to work it in deep to Shepard. Give it back to Chuck Jones. And Mighty Man is nickname. Puts it up and good to make it a 65-62 game. Still the All-Stars with the lead. Over 400 players have been drafted out of this NABC All-Star game to the NBA. 196 have gone in the first round. 7 of those players have been first picks overall. Shows you the caliber of play that they put together for this game. What a running one-hander by Scales. Stock going up for Scales here, George. Steal by Wynn, lays it in. All-Star defense is up a notch. 69-62, 7-point lead, and now Alvin Gentry and the Trotters want to call a timeout. Things may be getting a little bit tight down on the other end because a 1,214 game winning streak is hanging in the balance here for the Trotters, but the All-Stars saying, hey, now we have just started to reach our stride, and that may be a key. Not to say the Trotters aren't in good shape, but most of these kids have been playing in the NCAA tournament, so they're not just coming off the playground and not working. They're in very good shape, it seems. Jim Calhoun putting his group together.
Get those items we want you to purchase on your way out.
Brian Cardinal in his aggregation. Here's Scales taken to the hoop.
And we talked about Alex Scale and his explosive offensive ability, and there's certainly a sterling example of it as he takes it to the basket in NBA style, accepts the contact, and is still able to kiss off a nice soft shot.
Yeah, they're looking for some points from Ricky Fromm, who's back in, number 22 for the All-Stars. Had 32 in the Rainbow Classic against Colorado, 31 against Louisville, and he can light it up from the 3-line if you don't cover him. Rhodes against Land. Ross Land out of Northern Arizona. First Jackrabbit ever to be named to the NABC All-Star team. Rhodes for 3. And Johnny Ace Rhodes out of Maryland. And the Trotters get a basket. It's a 4-point game.
Johnny Rhodes lit him up for 10 in the first half as he continues to be the Globetrotters' go-to offensive guy.
3-time all-conference player in the ACC. Or Johnny Rhodes. This is Wynn working outside. Had an opening, put it up over the hands of Shepard. Shepard may have got a piece of that. Rebounded off to Ford. Horn going off, but I think they want to just keep playing here, and Rhodes says thank you very much. Now they'll just halt and get a player in here. And they'll take a timeout as well. So with 6:19 left to go, the Harlem Globetrotters behind the shooting of Johnny Rhodes trying to claw themselves back in. They're down by 4 to the All-Stars, 69-65. Back in a moment.
The GTE.
Come in all sizes and shapes and ages here in Indiana. Hoosier Hysteria. And right now this youngster looking on thinks that shoe's a little more entertaining maybe than the basketball game right now.
And just think, there was a time when Brian Cardinal started right where that one
there.
is.
That's right. Deluna, Illinois, where he played his high school basketball, and of course matriculated to Purdue, where he played under, shall we say, the very fiery Gene Cady. Gene and I were in Arkansas together. He was an assistant there with Eddie Sutton. I was the broadcaster, so enjoyed Gene's company as a coach along the sideline. And of course the rest, as far as his numbers are concerned, is Wynn going for a steal on Phillips, draws a personal foul. Pretty good defensive play that time by Tim Wynn.
Tim Wynn is a stellar defensive player. A young man, and I wouldn't want guarding me, as he fights over the top of the screen, reaches in for what he believes is a jump ball.
Making steals is nothing new to him. 319 for the Bonnies. Also at 192 threes as inside Shepard scores for the Trotters. And you got to have a feeling that they're going to try to get to that big front line if they can. However, Cardinal, Ashman, along with Land and Fromm, have done a pretty good job so far of neutralizing them inside. Land, Wynn. Fromm comes off a pick, shoots off the corner. Off the 4, picked up by Shepard. Reggie Phillips trying to push it for the Trotters, down by 2, 5.5 to go. He'll overthrow Rhodes, it'll be out of bounds, and the All-Stars will get it. You know, Jim Calhoun just came by, George, and we were kind of laughing. He said, hey, I'd almost take these kids as fast as they've learned this offense here.
He said, they're running the offense better than my team back in Connecticut did.
And that kind of alludes to the fact you made early on. Very, very intelligent young basketball kids here on this NABC All-Star team. Cardinal out of the wing. Play with erupted in that one. Looking to follow up by Land. Ross Land out of Northern Arizona. The Lumberjack puts it home, and it's a 4-point game now here for the All-Stars. Got to be impressed with their play today. Rhodes with a three. Yes. Somewhere along the way, they're going to figure out that Rhodes can't shoot the three as he puts it down easily outside. And Rhodes now with 20 points for the game. Reggie Fromm foul is a reach-in foul that time. They thought they had to steal, but they don't get it. Boyce will draw the personal foul.
Jay from the corner, three-point attempt by Brian Cardinal. It's up above the rim, and in comes Ross Lamb with the soft putback tip in.
Reggie Fromm putting it down for the shot. 4-year starter, by the way, as the coach pointed out, at Battleground out in Washington. Rhodes comes back to answer the score of the All-Stars, and Richie Fromm puts down another couple of free throws here. 73-70, the All-Stars by 3. We're under 5 minutes to go in the Round Ball Challenge, brought to you by the National Association of Basketball Coaches here in Indianapolis. Glad you could join us on Fox Sports Net. Sam Smith along with George Raveling as Phillips tries to shake and bake and gets a nice field goal out of that. 1-point game here, George. It's down to the nail-biting time for both sides now. Ashman missing. Shepard with a rebound. Defense, All-Stars got to step it up right now. Johnny Rhodes in the crowd. A lot of contact. Comes off to Fromm, and he pushes it for the All-Stars. Back out it goes to Cardinal. Looked at that little short jumper, but elected to see if there was something better. 3 minutes and 36 seconds left to play. Win with a running one-hander. Rebound comes off to Donnie Boyce. Down the lane to Nick Shepard, lays it in, and the Trotters will come back for the lead. Shepard scoring inside out of Pepperdine. Played 2 years at LSU, including his sophomore year at LSU when he started 22 of 27 games there. He was a big part of the upset of Indiana. 17 points and 8 rebounds, and he scores a big one there. As a shot missed by Ashman, rebounded off by Shepard, and here come the Trotters again.
If the college All-Stars ever needed a defensive stop, it's on this possession right here.
Fromm working hard inside on Boyce. They definitely are trying to get it to Donnie Boyce. Boyce at 6'5", Fromm at about 6'4". Boyce inside. Gets his on rebound. Cardinal fights in for him. Boyce with a follow-up tip comes off to Ashman. And the young man out of St. Mary's, Ohio, and Dayton University gets a big rebound there for the All-Stars. Land nails a three. Ross Land out of the corner, 76-74, the All-Stars. 2 minutes and 11 seconds left to go.
Three-point basket by Ross Land.
Ross Land, a great shooter out of Northern Arizona, proves it there. The Trotters, they've got to get a field goal now. And Rhodes gets it for him. There's their take-two guy with 22 tonight. And a timeout is called by the All-Stars simply to get some players in. Trotters also will make a substitution as Livingston will come in for them, but a whole host of new players in for Coach Jim Calhoun. And as his team is regrouped, Ross Land has hit a big three out of the corner, but it was neutralized as Rhodes got a deuce, and we're tied at 76.
Come to you.
wouldn't eat that sandwich with your mouth.
A sandwich just isn't a sandwich without the tangy zip of Miracle Whip.
It's called Executive Caterers Atlanta.
Way to get, well, this is George Raveling's transportation. It's a helicopter to and from. Nice way to look at the overview of Indianapolis. It has been the amateur basketball capital of the world this weekend. And you, of course, see the RCA Dome where the championship 2000 to be decided. And again, we are delighted with the NABC round ball challenge going on. You see the shooting, the Trotters just slightly better than the All-Stars, and the Trotters lead by only a point. George Raveling, what's going to happen in this possession for the All-Stars now?
Well, I think knowing Calhoun, he's going to try to get the ball in the hands of one of his good three-point shooters. And just as I say that, Pepe puts up a little off-balance push shot that's kept alive by Kenyon Jones.
And finished off by Eric Coley, the young man out of Tulsa. 78-77, the All-Stars with the lead. 1,214 straight wins by the Trotters. It's in jeopardy. Rhodes trying to show and bake outside. Long three-pointer rebounded off. Coley gets the rebound. And he's going to be called for a travel. He was off balance as he bumped into Boyce underneath. And the travel will go back to the Trotters underneath the basket. And a timeout taken by the Harlem Globetrotters. 44.4 seconds to go. Rebound. Watch this one by Coley coming off from the bound here.
Unless he got pushed, I don't think there was too much doubt that he walked. Oh, I see. He was pulling away from a hell ball situation.
So Boyce and Shepard surround him there, and the travel on Coley will give it out of bounds to the Trotters. All-Stars up by a point. And again, anybody's game right now is Eric Coley. What a nice run he made at Tulsa. Wins over UNLV, Cincinnati, Miami. And of course, the 6'5", 210-pounder was very instrumental in that. Against Cincinnati, 16 points, 16 rebounds. Not a bad game against the Bearcats. All right, here's a big play by the Trotters now as they trail by a point. The All-Stars turn up the defense. Rhodes down inside has a man down, and his jumper is good off the wing. Now the All-Stars have to counter. Back the other way, ball is loose. Look at Johnson on the floor to knock that away, and now Pepe Sanchez is going to call the timeout. Jim Calhoun and his club want to talk it over here with 28.7 seconds to go. Johnny Rhodes is their main man. He was the MVP of last year's All-Star Classic, and of course the series, they play 3 games, and you go to the man that's going to score. And one of the keys here is, I think, is Johnson fell down.
Yes, and Rhodes quickly read the play, turned, and put a high arching shot in up there at the basket. We said at the top of the game that he was the Globetrotters' go-to man on the offensive end of the floor, and he's certainly given us a lot of visible evidence why.
Eric Coley was really disgusted in himself, but he came from a long way to try to at least make Rhodes change the angle of that shot. He did, and he just threw it in from higher up. All right, inbound for the All-Stars, down by a point. Pepe Sanchez, one-on-one on Phillips. They get it to Richie Fromm. He dumps it down inside to Jones. Jones, the big fella, is going to be fouled and will try to win it at the foul line with 18.4 seconds to go. At least give his team a chance to get the lead as they get ready to go. By the way, we've had, of course, a lot of voting going on by the press folks here at courtside, and the MVPs will be named shortly. This guy's got to figure in prominently as Kenyon Jones does not tie it. He has one more coming. Tim Wynn defensively in, and Richie Fromm out. This is the offense-defense move by Jim Calhoun. And he doesn't get it. The rebound comes off to Shepard. He's fouled. And it'll go the other way. Free throws now by the Trotters with 16.4 seconds to go. And Kenyon Jones, nobody more disappointed than that big fella out of San Francisco, as he misses a couple of free throws as he and his team, along with Pepe Sanchez, go the other way. Tough break for Kenyon today. Still time, though, with 16.4 seconds to go. And, of course, keep in mind, Shepard is at the line, and he'll make it Phillips. Well, I thought they fouled Shepard, but they got Phillips at the line.
And I would look for...
Yeah, Pepe Sanchez is now saying no, it's Shepard, and I have to concur there. Pepe Sanchez and I are on the same page as the Trotters try to run a little ringer in on them there. And it will be Shepard shooting. I thought my eyes hadn't deceived me there. So it'll be Shepard shooting now. Alvin Gentry. He learned that with the Pistons. I just know he learned that. Put the other guy on the line, huh? This is one in the bonus. And he'll have the bonus. Club leads by 2 now. Kind of changes the complexion of the game on this 16.4 for the All-Stars. If he does not make it, a 3 will win it. 2 would send it to overtime. And he will get the 3 to win it, or the 2 to tie with 14 seconds to go.
Based on the players on the floor, I would look for the ball to go to Richie Fromm.
Timeout taken by the All-Stars, stopping the clock at 10.8 seconds to go. And they'll have the ball at midcourt.
Jim Calhoun quickly reached for the yellow legal pad as he diagrams the play.
This is probably not something we saw in the workouts yesterday. This is on the fly, as only the coaches of the NABC can do, and now they've been doing since they're starting back in 1927. By the way, some of the former stars, and I just mentioned some Hall of Famers, the late Pistol Pete Maravich, Rick Barry, Bill Bradley, Nate Tiny Archibald, who still holds the record for scoring with 35. Current stars, David Robinson, John Stockton, Tim Hardaway, and the list could go on and on. Just some of the great stars that have played in the All-Star game. Last year, of course, the West won the game, 93-86. Doug Swenson was the MVP. Eddie Robinson, who now plays with the Hornets, was the leading scorer for the East team, as they had the East against the West, but that stops now. 3-year contract to play the Trotters, and it comes down maybe to the most important 10.8 seconds of this series. Inbound, they get it to Jones. 9 seconds, takes it to the hoop, spins inside. He's going to be called, or is it a foul? It is a foul, and Jones will go back to the line with one more chance and an opportunity to tie the game, and he's got to make them both.
Well, first of all, the defense on the inbound throw was superb. It forced the All-Stars out of the design play, put the ball in the hands of the big man exactly where you want it. He's trying to penetrate from outside, and Shepard reaches in and creates an ill-advised foul.
So Jones will be scoring. Brian Cardinal, by the way, will be ready to come in for Jones if he makes the free throws. That's defensively, and also Tim Wynn set to the scorer's tables as well. Jones bounces it in. They're within a point. Well, Cardinal will come in before the next foul shot. Fromm goes out. And it looks like Eric Coley may be going out, but now the Trotters want to take a timeout. And I think this is the old, let's ice the free throw shooter down, isn't it?
Well, it certainly has been a very, very competitive game. We've seen players play hard, play intelligently, play together.
Right now the coaches are doing their part. Jim Calhoun with his staff, by the way, from Connecticut, doing what they have done all these years, 14 years. Coach Calhoun saying, you know, when I came into the Big East, there was Georgetown, there was Providence, all those people winning big games, St. John's, and he said over 14 years, he said, I hope we've got our just respect, and I'd have to concur. He certainly has done that and more.
Absolutely.
At UConn.
I would think if Kenyon Jones hits this, you would want to see the college All-Stars extend their defense to full court. Don't allow the Globetrotters to walk into their offense.
Well, it's a 88 game.
There's a full court press, just as I suspected.
8.6. They got to stay away from a foul, though. Here's Phillips. 3 seconds. Phillips. He'll stop inside. They try to get a shot up around, and it's good at the buzzer. Will it count? It does. The basket inside of the All-Stars, who let Phillips penetrate all the way up the floor, dump it inside, and the Globetrotters had withstood the All-Stars 82-80 as the defense didn't quite do what they needed to do to keep Phillips from penetrating.
And what a thrilling way to end. And Jim Calhoun was trying to keep the ball out of Phillips' hands. If we see the inbound throw, they double-team Phillips on the inbound throw. He just out-dribbled the defense.
So nobody more disappointed than Kenyon Jones, who had tied it at 80. Let's look again.
Now see, just out-dribble the defense. He found Nick Shepard wide open as the defense converged on him for the easy layup.
Shepard down inside, and a good challenge from the offside that time by Nate Johnson. But it rolls, and the buzzer goes off as it drops into the twine. So the Harlem Globetrotters have survived 1,215 consecutive games, but the All-Stars almost came up with a major win today at the NABC Round Ball Challenge here in Indianapolis. Well, it's tough to pick one player out of a midst of a great one, but Kenyon Jones, George, is our most valuable player. Look at the numbers he put up today.
Well, where he really contributed greatly is right in the middle statistics. 11 rebounds, and that doesn't count the ones that he kept alive on the offensive boards.
So Kenyon Jones, who tied it at 80 before the Trotters win it, but how about the contribution of Johnny Rhodes? Ace comes up with 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists as he is named as the Trotters player of the game. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our great weekend on the Final Four weekend here in Indianapolis. We've had a great time. The National Association of Basketball Coaches have put together their All-Stars, and they challenged the most world-renowned basketball team of the world, the Harlem Globetrotters, in a sensational All-Star game. Here tonight, the National Association of Basketball Coaches have honored the outstanding players and coaches from around the world that have helped mold this great game of basketball that we now all love. We hope you've enjoyed it, and will join us again next year, and we'll do it all over again here on Fox Sports Net. On behalf of all of our team, I'm George Raveling, our analyst. This is Sam Smith saying so long, everybody, from Indianapolis for Fox Sports Net.